passe l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. Fanta Keita. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De er i semifinale igjen!
All 3 opening days of the 2023 Women's World Championships are now done across Norway, Sweden and Denmark. And it's well and truly kicked off, Chris. I'm excited. So welcome to the Unformed Handball Hour. My name is Alex Kulesh. I'm joined by Chris O'Reilly for this one. As always, it's a major championship, so we have bonus content for you. We have bonus podcasts over bonus podcasts. This will be on for 3 weeks. We'll have a lot of episodes coming your way, so definitely a good time to join the Patreon at Handball Hour. Join it for this, join it for the men's European Championship that happens in January, and enjoy just us discussing great handball. You know what? And it has
so much good handball
already been great.
We always underestimate the ability of these competitions to throw up some surprises. I think particularly on the women's side, it's never as straightforward as we think it's going to be. There's always subtleties. There's always things that, you know, we just don't consider, that probably the coaches themselves don't consider in some of the games we'll talk about in this podcast as well. But it's really good to see, and it's good to enjoy the big nations just being, you know, some of them getting a bit of a shock or two, a scare or two along the way. Later in this podcast, we're going to bring you an interview that I had on Saturday morning with 2 of the players from Senegal who have given us one of our best games of the Women's World Championship so far. Fanta Keita and Coura Camara had a great chat with me in the team hotel, so that is definitely something to look forward to later in the podcast. But some other things to attend to before that, Alex.
Yeah, but what is our favorite thing about the World Championship, Chris?
My favorite thing about the World Championship is what I saw yesterday. Not particularly the game. The game was fantastic, but a player that just isn't on the radar from a team that you don't know exactly what to expect from them, just coming up with some absolute magic. And for me, that is Coura Camara, the number 7 from Senegal, who played in every position in the backcourt and was banging in goals with her right hand. She was banging in goals with her left hand. Like, the moment for me was Senegal get a red card early in the match. They're only right back in the squad. And we're thinking, oh God, it's gone from bad to worse for them. And then Camara pops in there and starts flinging passes with her left hand. And I'm like, okay, here we go. It's moments like that, seeing players like that. Also, you know, someone who is not dressed the way, doesn't necessarily look the way a handball player we're used to seeing, you know, because she's playing in Egypt. She has the hair covered. She's wearing the full length Under Armour and just like bawling out. And it's just a joy to see. So stuff like that I really love.
Absolutely. I was going to say just the underdogs. And we always root for the underdogs so much, the non-European nations. And I think in the men's World Championship, there's kind of a ceiling for these non-European teams, which you see, despite us really wishing for them to get better. And, you know, Egypt have probably broken through that ceiling. But on the women's side, there's so much more of these teams that you just know nothing about. You see that they're potentially a challenge, but they really challenge the top teams. And in the first kind of round of games, we saw all of these teams get really close, and maybe annoyingly close. We had Germany and Japan, where Germany needed a last-second shot to get the win over Japan, even though Japan looked very impressive throughout. We'll definitely talk about that. We also had Angola pushing France like right to the end, and it came down to an opportunity for Angola to equalize in the last second, and they hit the post. That finished 30-29 to France. That's a big teams we're talking about. France, Germany, the kind of medal favorites. We also had Senegal, which you mentioned. They actually did get there, and they got to draw 22-22 against Croatia. And I suppose the last one is South Korea. Probably should have beaten Austria. They're really impressive, but in that case, they were lost 30-29. So these teams coming out and just showing a different type of handball as well. And that's the most exciting part. So I mentioned a couple of games there. Where do you want to start? I think they're the most exciting ones.
Yeah, let's start with Japan. I know you're dying to wax lyrical on them. We did have a feeling that they had something based on what the results they were getting in the warm-up matches. The fact that they had beaten Korea in qualification for the Olympics, so we knew that this team had something about them. They weren't too far off getting a quarterfinal 2 years ago, but it looks like they've taken another step up.
Oh, they're amazing. If anyone gets a chance, just watch Japan play. Have you ever seen Ted Lasso, Chris?
I actually haven't yet. I have it very high up on my to-do list, but I haven't seen Ted Lasso yet. Ted
Lasso is actually a TV show that I had on the back burner for a long while, and I thought it might be a bit cringe, but it was actually fantastic. So I would recommend everyone to actually watch Ted Lasso. It's not as cringe as you think, but okay. They have this one episode, and the team is struggling, and Ted Lasso, again, American coach, comes into an English football team, a Premier League team, to coach them, and they're struggling. So one of Ted Lasso's ideas is to come up with a load of trick plays. So they all get together and come up with every trick play that they've ever come up with, and they have all these funny names like the slithering snake and the rounded eagle and all of these things, and then they bring it all together, and then they play a game where they're essentially just doing all these trick set pieces all the time. And this is what Japan playing handball looks like. It's as if it's nothing I've ever seen before. All the passes are just not what you expect, and there's so much movement off the ball that no player is standing still for any moment.
Oh, I love it.
That it's ripping apart defenses. They just don't know what to do with it. And in particular, Natsuki Aizawa had an incredible game. She scored 10 goals and got 9 assists, so almost a double-double. She got her almost on the proper double-double. And especially in that second half, Japan made a really big comeback. So they were kind of 5 goals down with about 10 minutes to go and came back. And Aizawa was just incredible. She is the Luke Steins of women's handball. There's just the one-on-one skill, the trickery is just so fun to watch. But in the end, it just wasn't enough against Germany.
Sania Smith's coming up with the last second savior.
Yeah, there's actually a really funny moment, and it's very Japanese. You just everything you know about the Japanese people being very respectful and fair play. You know those stories of in the football world,
dressing room and stuff,
cleaning up the dressing room,
stands,
all of that. And so Japan equalized to make it 30-30 with about 15-20 seconds to go, and it looked like this kind of Germany were rattled. Germany went up the other side, and Japan got the stop, and the ball kind of started rolling away close to the goal, and there's about 10 seconds left, and a Japanese player runs over picks up the ball and gives it to Xenia Smits, who then runs over and scores the goal with 2 seconds left. So that little motion of the Japanese player actually going over and picking up the ball.
Opposite of gamesmanship.
The opposite of game.
Proper
It's like
sportsmanship.
super fair play.
Like, I think, she does it about like 70% of the way, and I think she then kind of realizes what she's doing, and like, if she could just like, I don't know, maybe fall on the ball or something. Something just like to make up for the fact that she's literally spared enough time for Germany to go and score. And yeah, that crossed my mind as well, and it's really
and it's like the goal went in with 2 seconds left. That it made the difference of those 2 seconds. Germany actually looked good. They have a really nice backcourt with Xenia Smits, Emily Bulk, and Alina Greisels. Like really, it's one of the top backcourts, I'd say, in this championship when they're all going. And I think Emily Bulk in particular, we've seen her kind of take steps over the last year or two to becoming a more consistent player. I think she was really up and down. You could always see the talent with Emily Bulk, that she was incredible, but especially at championships, she was prone to a game where she's like 1 from 8. In this game, 4 from 6, really came in at the right times and scored 2 goals. And unfortunately for Japan, they're a small team. They're fast, they're tricky, they play great handball, but coming up against Germany, who just were able to overpower them at times, was difficult. So I'm really excited for Japan. I think they're going to make some waves in this competition.
What I love about the trick plays finally on them is like, it's kind of things, when you see it happen, you're like, why doesn't everyone do that? Some of them are so simple where it's just like, little dump pass back to the player who's played the pass to you. The playmaker is going from left to right all the time, moving, and they just keep going instead of like standing. And it's like, oh, that's right.
You can do that.
But the defense is just there like flat-footed, and they're like, what just happened to me? Really, really impressive, and looking forward to more of that from them. Angola was another one you mentioned, and as we're recording this one, late on Saturday afternoon, they seem to have run out of steam in the last 10 minutes against Slovenia, and they're going to lose a fairly comfortable scoreline in the end. It's 6 goals at the moment, as I
think it's game over now. Slovenia have won 30-24, which is it's tough.
It was a lot closer when we started recording this 10 minutes ago. It was just a goal between them. So, and that was Slovenia without Anna Gross as well. She's on the sideline. I'm not exactly sure why, but they've that's a big win for Slovenia, and showing that they are serious contenders in this group as well. And looking forward to that game against France. But anything else on Angola that you want to add in? Because they do look. We said it's in our preview podcast. It's an Olympic year. This is when they start to build up, and they look like a really solid team. That last kind of falling apart against Slovenia suggests potentially there's some issues with going the 60 minutes. But the first game against France didn't show that, because they had a 5-goal run in the last 10 minutes to draw level. So, yeah, hard to know. I think we'll have to look back at that one to see exactly what happened to Angola. They will almost certainly, I'd say, beat Iceland, though, and get into the main round. Yeah,
it's a tough group for Angola. Obviously, Slovenia, not the kind of second-rate team they used to be. They're really one of the top teams. For France, are you worried by that result against Angola by any chance?
No, I think France are a team that have learned lessons over the years at championships that they don't need to be. They're a proper championship team. They know how to build up, and I think they were a little rocked by Angola as well. Right at the end of that game, you could see the pure relief on them. But I think in the first game of the championship, if you get away with the win, like Germany against a good team, the result doesn't, or the score line doesn't really matter in the end as long as you get the win. And I think we probably won't see any remnants of that tight game in their next two group games. Well, maybe against Slovenia, who knows? But it's tricky for them. But I think they know that big tasks are to come. In particular, their last group game against Slovenia, and then Norway next week.
Should we move on to Senegal?
Let's go to Senegal.
New darlings of women's handball. You're really enthralled by them.
I didn't know how many times I said it in the first half. Is like this is my new favorite team, and a lot of other people since then have said the same to me. It's like absolutely falling in love with Coura Camara and Soukaina Sagna as well. The number 13, who played a little bit of left back, a little bit of centre back. I mean, she set the tone in the first attack of the game. Just a little bit of a shimmy and a shake, left the defender for dead, and it's like, okay, here we go. We've got a game in our hands, and I think it was the start of that match. The way that Senegal came out, the fearlessness in their attack, and also the solid defence. They have a centre block with Hawa Ndai, who is a really high-level line player, and Laura Kamdop, who is an absolute wall in the centre of the tent. She's a big girl. She's not quite Mvumbi stature, but getting there, but the opposite of Mvumbi, where he was an attacker, she's all about taking names in defence. And the two of them are brilliant, alongside Justicia Tubisa in goal, who saved 2 penalties right from the off, saved a counter-attack. And it's those kind of saves, not just normal saves, but a counter-attack goal, 2 penalties, basically 3 that Croatia should have had on the board. She denied them. And Croatia, that rocked them big time. And you could see it in the way they played, that they got into their own heads. They realized they were in for a game. And it seemed like they weren't really up for it. They were like, oh, do we have to do this now? It's the first game of the championship. Can we not just have a win? And yeah, they were rocked. It fully credit for Senegal, who themselves were rocked less than 24 hours before that, because we spoke a lot about Noncian Nyombla, who was supposed to be their leader in the team. She was not allowed to play in this championship, and I spoke to the Senegal coach today, I spoke to the Senegal players, I spoke to some people from the federation yesterday before the game. They still don't fully understand why, which is nuts. Now, I've heard from an inside source at the IHF that the word is that the transfer isn't valid because she's not transferring to an emerging nation. Which brings up the question, what is an emerging nation?
What is an emerging nation if it's not Senegal?
And is that even the rule? Because this brings up a whole other kind of thing, and I think it's maybe a podcast for another day. We'll need to look more into it. Another big thing is because a former Senegal goalkeeper, Hatsuru Sako, who's playing for France, and as you said, played in the opening game for them, in 2019, she was playing for Senegal. So, is France an emerging nation? Nope. I didn't think emerging nation or not is part of the question in all of this. So, there's a lot more to look into this. But the Nyombla not playing was not part of their plan. They were shocked by it. She was their playmaker, set for the championship. So the fact that they managed to get that out of their head, get a red card early in the game for Fanta Keita, who we'll speak to shortly, out of their head, their only left-hander in the backcourt, and still put that together, that performance was magnificent. They played, I think we spoke about it in the preview, they weren't going to play they were going to play more like a French style, because most of these players have either moved to France to play professionally or have grown up in France and have Senegalese parents. And so there's there is a lot of the kind of French style in there. They play very calmly. They don't over-rush the ball. They did to Croatia what Croatia did to teams in 2020 en route to their bronze medal. They slowed the game down. They played with a lot of composure, and they played their absolute hearts out. The sad thing in the end is that they were 4 goals up in the final quarter of the game and didn't come away with the win. But they speak about that in the interview as well, where it was a momentary disappointment, but they got a result, which is the thing that the other not emerging nations, the other non-European teams
they
didn't manage to do.
Yeah. And I think it always comes down to experience in these types of situations. The reason why France, Germany, even Croatia in this case, came out with results is because they've been through it more. As a team, as professional players, they know how to deal with these situations, and it's mental. You know, when you're ahead at the end, as an underdog, you start getting nervous, even though you start thinking about the game and thinking about the result, and that can throw you off. So, first round of games still very fun.
Yeah, exactly. So after yesterday's performance, I hung out outside the dressing rooms, not in that creepy way, but waiting for the coach first of all. And I was like, "Hey, coach, if I wanted to get an interview with your players, is there somebody I can speak to?" And he's like, okay, I'll get somebody. He got the team manager, who his name was Rashid, and he sorted me out with a chance to speak to a couple of the players earlier today. So I had an interview sitting down with Fanta Keita and Coura Camara. Everything considered for the last few days, the news with Noncian not being able to play and the big occasion of the first game. Are you pretty happy with how it is now, one day later, that result against Croatia?
I think the best result for sure will be the victory, of course, especially about the game that we made yesterday. I think it was a really brilliant game from all the team, and it was just better to have the victory, of course. But okay, we was this equal result. Then we still have 1 point, and we'll just focus and continue on this way.
You were leading for pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, was the feeling at the end a bit of disappointment, or maybe a bit of relief also to take something home?
Maybe just a little short time, we have a little disappointment, but after we look back and we see the game that we done, and we are so proud of us, and we are very proud about the game that we gave. Yeah.
What do you think the big key for the result was yesterday? Because you started very brightly and you seemed to shock the Croatians a little bit. They were expecting something, but you seemed to get into their heads quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I think we just play our handball, to be honest. We didn't thinking about nothing else. And we will just focus on the game. We didn't looking at all about the result and about the time going. And of course, we was leading all the time. But yes, I think the key was to stay focused. Doesn't matter how was the game, doesn't matter how was the situation during the game. But yeah, the key was to just be focused until the end and looking at the end what will be the result.
The spirit in the team looks very strong as well, that you can see throughout the game. What was the mood like in the team at halftime? Yeah.
We were that was such excitement, but we tell ourselves to be still focused, but we played this game like we got nothing to lose, just win everything, every point, because we had the chance to be here to play against Croatia. I think they was, like you say, they was expecting something, but not that much. But we after the halftime, we tried to stay focused into the end of the game. Right?
Fanta, we have to ask about the red card. I'm sorry.
Of course.
The red card.
You had such a strong start to the game. Of course, it's one of those moments that on the replay it looks worse, I think, than the first time around. But happening for you at that moment and surrounding it? Can you remember?
Well, it was so weird situation for me, because for sure it was some clear situation that maybe he was looking. I push her, and she was already jumping in the air and everything. But well, I mean, when you have red card, it's like, okay, it's not unfair, it's really bad action that someone make it. And it was, for me, it was just, I saw just her coming, jumping, and I was here for just defense. And she was, already falling down a little. So, I didn't expect it at all, this red card for sure. And of course, maybe you can put some 2 minutes exclusion, kind of thing like that. It's like normal process, if I can say something like that. But red card, especially in the beginning of the game and everything, and nothing really special bad, So, I was really surprised about this decision from the referees. And then after, it was, as you said, it was so strong feeling on this time about all the team, about just so focused on this game to make something. Then I was like, okay, no time to just to blame or to try to looking what's happened. Just still with the team, try to push my energy as I can to the team.
But the solutions you found as a team were fantastic then afterwards. And I was doing the commentary for TV at the time, and I wondered, okay, Fanta is the only left-hander. And then I see Camara, she starts playing with her left hand.
How we will make it. Yeah.
This is a little bit about your teammates then, because they were fantastic.
Yeah, because the word of the coach was, we don't have time. Now Kanta is the only left back, and she's not here. Like she said, we don't have time to blame ourselves. We have to do with what we got, with all the energy, and after we can rest, because we don't have time to blame ourselves.
You got to see the game from a different angle, I guess. What was your perspective on your teammates then? Because there were some amazing performances.
Yeah, and really, to be honest, actually, it was absolutely the same feeling on the court. It was for me the same that I was still on the court with the girls, because, as I told you, okay, I get this red card, and sometimes during games with some teams, if you get some big decision or situation like this, you can put it down a little. You can put it down the team, and the game can change. And this was just, I didn't want at all that this decision will affect the team. And then I was just focused to push, to try to just scream of all my teammates to give just this energy.
See you leaning over the railing, shouting all the time, get me back on the court.
It was just this. And I think it was really absolutely the key of the game. Everyone was on the same way, focused, try to, doesn't matter what will happen tonight or yesterday, we'll just continue on the same way.
And that's, I think, in the second half, one of the most impressive things about the team. You have this very narrow lead at halftime, and very quickly it can turn right the other way. I'm sure you've been in these situations over and over again for club and country, but you managed to come out and play just as smart and as calm as you did in the first half.
It's true, I agree about what you said. It's like it was really close to just go in another way on this time. And I think, okay, it was just, as I told you, we will repeat again, but I think it's really the focus about this. As you said, we stayed just calm. Exactly.
Not let the stress taking over, like
we didn't have,
being calm.
We didn't have this panic. Of course, we start also to have this feeling, okay, now it's getting a little bit like really important time. Someone, this team or us, we will going for the victory or not. But I think we just maybe trust about ourselves, about each other, about the team, and okay, let's go, girls. It will not, and we will trust on this.
And it's quite a young team as well overall, in comparison to the other teams in the group. And I think with a team like Senegal, it's really interesting the makeup of the team, because a lot of you have grown up in France and have Senegalese parents, I guess, and then there's some that are back at home. What are your connections? What are your personal stories for getting into the team?
I think it's yeah, I will not say strange feeling, but just mix. It's absolutely, I think, a lot of mix about different culture that we get from parents, I think, from Africa and all of these things, and also about just France where we born and where we first of all lived. And yeah, I think it's just positive to have this mix that you can put on handball, but also about a lot of things, about knowledge and yeah.
So both of you were born in France then?
No, I was born in Senegal,
You were born in Senegal.
I came in France when I was 14.
Okay.
With my parents, but there's a little bit change
Yeah.
because with the weather and all of that. But I keep going with handball, and now I'm here. I'm very proud of all the journey. But Fanta is here, and all my teammates help me every day to improve my game. So I'm very proud to be in this team. Yeah.
What can you tell us about growing up playing the sport in Senegal? I guess it's very different to France or to Europe. What is your experience?
Yes, it's very different because when I was in Senegal, we not have all this equipment in the stadium, but now it's better because they see what we're able to do with the Senegal teams, and now the federation doing more for us. But back there was very different. Like we don't have like a stadium. Yeah, there was not the cover.
No.
There was the
Oh, it's outdoors.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Wow.
Yeah, and the ball, there was no glue.
Yeah.
You running that when you fall down, you can hurt yourself very bad. So the change was very interesting to see. Yeah.
And what is the reaction at home in Senegal? Do you get a feeling for the coverage, for your
Proud.
I guess extended family?
Yeah, proud. They are so proud of us. Like maybe even when we lose, they all they need is the energy and see. Then we fight for the jersey, and that's all that they need. Yeah. Even we win, even we lose, they just want to see us give all that we got. So they are so proud of us. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the build up to this game yesterday, because I know there was the kind of shocking news about players not being able to play, in particular Nancian Nyomla, which I spoke to your coach a little bit, and
Yeah.
I mean, you still don't have a exact reason why, right? Or do you know why she couldn't play?
Well, it's for this situation, it's also like the coach told you. It's like we don't really know exactly why. This is the big point. It's like just why, I don't know. Well, we try. We still hope maybe that it will change during the World Championship, during this competition, maybe. But yes, until now it was like really misunderstood, that we don't understand at all about this decision. No.
Because she's played with you in the pre-games, she played with you in the African Championship as well.
Exactly.
I guess she was really disappointed or devastated as well, and it's hard to find the balance between kind of dealing with the situation but also having to focus on a game so soon.
Yeah, as you on this team, I don't know how I can explain this, but it's like we have a really strong relationship and really strong, fight spirit. Yeah, fight spirit about teams, and I think it's a mix of a lot of things. How we grow, everyone. Some girls grow in Senegal, someone grow in France, but it's still the same
Coming ground.
Common ground, exactly. And then I think for Nyonsiam, it was like really important thing that she want to come on this team, especially because of this atmosphere and about this team, really, what we maybe show from outside. And I think it was a really big disappointment for her, but also just for the team, for all of us.
I guess no matter what, she will still have a lot to offer you as a team because of her vast experience.
That's sure, but at the first time when we heard the news, there was a lot of frustration because we were working 10 days. Yeah, we do 2 games, I think we was like, we're ready now. We can go against Croatia, Sweden. No matter what we do, we're gonna give our best. And now, the day before we came here, we heard that, but we have this ability in this team to switch like very fast. We don't have time to say, oh la la, oh this is happening. We have to play now, so we have to switch very fast, and we do it well, like we played yesterday. So.
Yeah, and even when Fanta gets sent off.
Red card.
Oh my God, really? It's like, really, to be honest, it was like so much things on the same time, and especially also about this decision. It's like, okay, but why just one day before we have this decision? Why only one day? If it's already one decision, maybe we will know. I don't know. We will know before, But just one day before we start, it's like, come on. Why you make this on our team? It was like some feeling like that. But and after this red card, okay, I think it's game and referee's decision. Even I think a lot of people after told me, okay, probably it was some kind of exclusion, but not red card for sure.
But you came through it. And you got a point in the end. Next up is the hosts. What are your thoughts on them? Have you been able to start planning already for tomorrow?
We start now to just we will continue on our way. I think we're just training as always and try to play the best handball that we already make every time. And it will be what we know for sure. It will be totally different game. Because I think against Croatia it was not so much fast handball, if I can say something like that. And we know about Sweden, it's like Hagman, hello. It will be really fast handball, so it will be also interesting for us to see how we will handle this one.
And the big occasion as well, it'll be 11,000, 12,000 people there. It was a great atmosphere yesterday.
We forget maybe also this point, but
that's why you're here, right?
Exactly.
That's why you're here for the big moment.
That's going to be exciting. I think that there's a big stadium, so that's going to be a big game.
And we know
for
about
us,
Sweden, about the culture, about sport, how it's so good feeling. How Swedish people putting in usually in big event. So it will be really great. I think great night, great games. And I think we will try to not focus about all of this atmosphere, but for sure it's a really, really big, I will say big chance to have one game against
Sweden.
Against host team, really.
And to try and enjoy it maybe a little bit as well.
Of course we will enjoy. It's the key. It's the key of this team. Always enjoy.
That's really nice to hear.
Really.
Lastly then, before I let you go, about the future of this team, because as we said, it's a young team. It seems to be forming all the time. It's only the second time that Senegal is represented in a World Championship. What are your personal ambitions for this team? Where would you like to see Senegal go in the next few years?
Ooh, big question.
If you can do anything, it's up to you. You're the player.
I think just to put Senegal as far as possible as a big country. I mean, big country in handball. For sure, in handball world, then I think it's a lot of things. If we try to put on this way, it will be also a big development. I think in Senegal, sport Senegal, because it's not so big development, to be honest, about handball. So we just hope in few years maybe it will start to be much more developed about this area. I don't know how to say this, but it will be the goal to really just grow up as far as possible as this team and this handball from Africa, from Senegal.
I think it's not just Senegal at this point. It's like representing Africa, like show the world that African country can play handball. Like we see Angola against France. I think the world were not expected that game. So like us yesterday, so show the world that African country now can level up the European, American countries about handball and continue to enjoy our game, improve our country, and That's it.
I really like that you see it on a pan-African scale.
Yes,
You want
yes.
to raise it all together. That's really nice. And I think the whole handball world wants to see not just African nations but also Asian nations. It's really exciting. I think everyone when you see Japan the other day against Germany, everyone's going for the
and
underdog.
I think it's really good. It's going on this way that now, especially all this little continent, if we can say like that, but also Asian countries in handball, they are so good also, and I think it's just big, how to say, but it will be just better and better for just handball world to have so big potential in every country. Yeah.
Well, it's a nice way to finish it. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And good luck tomorrow and for the rest of the championship.
Thank you a lot. Thank you.
Thank you to Fanta and Coura. Very charming players and a really nice perspective on it. Also, right at the end, saying there that their ambition is not just in terms of Senegal growing, but African handball at the world level as a whole. And I think that's a really nice kind of sign of the community that they're building within the team here, but also in African handball. And as we can see, it's on the way up. That quarter of the draw is becoming very interesting as well. All of a sudden, I think Sweden are becoming the favourites, but then you have Croatia, Senegal, Hungary, and Montenegro, all going to be in the same main round group together. That could there could be a few bumpy games along the way to see who gets into the quarterfinal. I'm not ruling anyone out just yet.
And Montenegro, of course, had a easier game against African opposition to start off with. That game started with Montenegro going 9-0 up after 23 minutes. Thankfully, Cameroon got a couple of goals by halftime, 13-12, and finished 25-11. So that's probably the other spectrum of the emerging nations coming through and playing in the World Championship. But still fun times. Maybe a few words on kind of the bigger teams. I think the biggest match for some of the favourites was Denmark versus Serbia, a game which Denmark well and truly almost lost. They were 12-10 down at halftime, and actually only got level on the 52nd minute when it came 2020. So Serbia really kept their heads and were in the game until right in the end. Denmark still coming out winners, 25-21, but that's a worrying first match for the Danes.
Yeah, a 6-1 run in the last 8 minutes, which really gave them a bit of a flattering scoreline, I think you could say. But yeah, I think Serbia, I really didn't expect much from them coming into this. And I think that has to do with the fact that a lot of the names we're used to seeing are just not part of the team anymore. But there's been a lot of turbulence in the Serbian team over the years. So maybe the fact that Uroš Bregar has been able to work with a group of players without too many superstars in it could actually be the best thing for them. I was only able to watch the highlights until now. I was too busy watching Sweden, or watching and commentating on Sweden spanking China in the first half of the game. But it's funny, I have a nice kind of statistics overview as part of my desk, and I was watching the live ticker of Denmark-Serbia and thinking, what on earth is going on here? But like I said earlier about France, I think you get the win in the opening game against one of the other good teams in the group. You probably don't care how it comes in the end. It's a long road to hurling, even when you're already in hurling.
Yeah, and it was cool. One of the, so just sticking on Denmark for a little bit, I think a lot of criticism that we've had for this Danish team, and it's their strength and their weakness simultaneously. It's this kind of socialist handball that they have. Everyone's equal. Everyone has their role to play and plays it, all orchestrated by their coach, all orchestrated by Jesper Jensen. And I think in games where they should be better, they don't give the opportunity to their like better players to just take over. They still play the same style. Their defense was still really good. Throughout they build their whole team on that defense, which has Lena Haugsted back in her masterful role of defender, fast breaker. But yeah, it felt like that's something that we've seen work against the top teams. They slow it down. They're very precise with their attacks. They spread out the load. But against a slightly weaker team like Serbia, who kind of played them at their own game, they slowed it down as well. They had some good performances from the goalkeeper. It kind of needed a player to step up. And in the second half, it was actually Christina Jørgensen that did that. Christina Jørgensen had a very poor first half. I think she was 1 from 4, but then came back and ended up scoring 5 goals in the second half. So when she was actually unleashed, I think it helped the Danish team. But yeah, let's see how this goes. I'm not sure if it worries me too much, this performance. I'm sure there's some nerves. The shooting wasn't great, to be honest. So I think that's something that they can sort out as they go through the competition.
Yeah, they'll have plenty of shooting practice against Chile in the next game before facing Romania. And then things get serious with the likes of Poland, Germany, and Japan in the main round. But yeah, my final words on this, I think, are just also the crowds have been great, particularly in the last day or two for the home teams. Like Denmark had 12,500 people at their game. Norway had a full house, which was, I think, 3,500, 8,500 for Sweden in a brilliant atmosphere yesterday. So, yeah, coming out really to support their teams. And also some decent crowds for the games without the home teams as well. People are coming out early. And that was our big criticism of Slovenia last year. As soon as 5 minutes before Slovenia played, people were in the door. Once it's over, they were out the door. Here, they're sticking around, and that's good to see. All right, I think we can wrap it up for this one. Thank you all for listening, and thanks for your continued support on Patreon as well, those of you who are. Great time to sign up, as Alex said at the beginning. I mean, this is coming out on a Sunday, and 4 podcasts in 1 week, right? That's pretty good going. And a bonus episode as well on your Patreon feeds this morning for those of you who are already signed up. But until the next one, thank you for listening and enjoy the games happening nonstop.